So this code, the listeners here, can be replaced with binding instead of add listeners. Like this is a sliders, right? Code that we get the text x property. Instead of like text.setX, we can just go to x property, right? Like we learned, this is a property of the object. So text has a property, right? So we can do bind to the values of the changes on your slider value property. Multiply, right, with the width of the pane for text, and divide with the max property of the slider. So it should adjust that accordingly, right? So instead of using the add listeners, we can technically use the bind. And let's run this. So it's applied to both the x and y. So we can see that we can still do the same thing here. Now this is for slider. So let's see if we want to do the same with the wherever it says slider, and we replace with scroll bar. Like we said, scroll bar and slider are very similar, but the difference is scroll bar doesn't have that show twig, right? Labels, and looks like the constructor are different too. So let's see, but we want to prove that we can still use the binding property to, right, the scroll bar, okay, instead of add listeners. Now let's look at this application. Since we can bind the value change of the scroll bar sliders, then we can actually create an application to adjust the rates of the ball here. Bounce, right? We have the bounce balls. We happen to create the up and down arrows, right, to adjust the slower and faster rates for bouncing. We can also tie it to the sliders to adjust the rate, and binding it to the rate property of the ball pin, right, and the get value of the sliders that will be changed. So, and the rest is pretty much the same. This is just put the ball, right? So let's see, we already have the application for the ball created. So this is ball pin here. So we're going to do create new Java class, right? We're going to name the bounce ball slider. We add the slider into this to adjust the speed. We first going to create extends, right, JavaFX application, so which is application, and then application need to be imported, right? Application. Now it's require you to implement the unimplemented methods, right? Which is start. Once start, we create the ball pin, which is we already have that class created. Call ball pin equals to a new ball pin. So we get a ball pin. Now we want a slider, right? We call this to adjust the speed. We call slider speed. Now we technically need to import the sliders. New slider. We create a slider. We can set max and min for the slider, max and min speed, right? And put the default values to like in the middle. Now we want to bind to the ball peen, right? So ball peen has a rate property, right? Control the rates, and then we're going to bind it to the property values, right? Observer values, which is from slide speed dot. We can get the property, right, values. Value property. So to get, we just say value properties, return the value properties. When we slide the sliders, the values change and update to this value property. Alright, so now we pretty much just already done with the main part. What we need is just create a panel. Let's use border pane, right? Just name a pane that we want to add those ball peen and slider onto. Just need to import it, and we just say dot set center. We're going to make ball peen into the center, and then we're going to make this at the bottom, set bottom, the slider to the bottom. And of course we need to create a scene, right? This is JavaFX new scene, and pass the pane in and set the width and height of the scene, and import scene in, and the primary stage had to set title and set the scene, right? So bounce ball, and then we're going to do the same, set the scene, which is a scene that we have the ball peen and slider holding on, and then we're ready to show. So the code just going to be that simple, and we can run the ball peen, run bouncing ball. Now the ball keep bouncing. Since we bind, it's slowing down, and we can still do. It should listen to my key, right? To increase the speed. Let's see if it's going to do that. Yes, it's keep moving the speed, but it's very slow. So it seems like key events is not listening anymore, because now depending on this one. Yeah, it's no longer listening to key events. So what we're going to do, we're going to make both sliders and key event working at the same time. So we go to ball peen class, and we add the key events. So ball peen has a method rate property. That's why it's returned the rate property back to bind with that, right? You can see we call rate property and bind here, which is rate property is coming from animation. That's why. So now move ball. We know move ball. Here, this is key event, right? Increase the speed. Decrease the speed. Oh, I see. We never have key events in here. it was in the demo version mouse wall control that register key events. So that's why it never worked, because they never register key events. Now we can make the key events to work in the ball pane for sure, or mouse wall slider. So if we can just set the ball pane on key press right here, right? So we can make on key press, key ball pane set on key press. So we put in this code, like now it's only bind. We can actually do, let's see if we can bind to, right? We're gonna fix this with the on key press first, and then we can just do binds likely to use with the sliders. So I'm going to do all on key press. Let's see if it's going to work. Now pressing the key and keep pressing the key will slow down. So ball pin set on key pressed. With key up, we want to increase the speed. Decrease the speed. And key down. Let me turn it off. Key up. Nope. So let's check the code here. So set on key pressed. We get the code. Code is up. So let's see if it's actually even get in here. System.out.print and see e.get code. Alright, so let's run the application again. So it's not even getting there. When I press, it's not showing anything, so it's never getting here. Now, if I'm not assigned to set on key press to the ball pane, I'm going to set it to the pane or even the scene. Let's see if I set into the scene. Scene cannot do that. Oh, but I create a scene later, so I'm going to move this down. Alright, so I made a scene list into it. Okay, it lists them, but there's some errors showing whenever I press. Hit down, print out. When it get to decrease the speed, it call ball pin, right? JavaFXUIControls to decrease the speed, right? So line 43, animation.set rate. A bound value cannot be set. So that's an error, runtime exception. So if I comment in the bind out, okay, and run the code again, you see key press is working now. Right, so that means we cannot use bind and slow down with it when we do the slider bind. So to fix this, we can technically here set the new variables and use that variable to set the speed. And they all either key press or not, using passing that variables in, or sliders passing the same variables in. change the same values and set